Yes, the reason my M3GAN review is a little late today, the embargo lifted at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is that ironically last night, my motion sensor voice-activated trash can went all Little Shop of Horrors. Suddenly at 2 a.m. it woke me up because it started opening and closing furiously like in this weird pattern, and I couldn't get it to stop until finally I just ripped out its batteries. And they're still on the floor. I'll try and fix it later. It was real, I didn't even make the connection till this morning when I was thinking of doing my notes for this, and I was like, whoa, my trash can went all M3GAN on me. And that's just a trash can. As you can see from this movie, a robotic doll is a whole other level of problems. And on that note, if I built robots for a living like Allison Williams' character does, I would also build an EMP gun. While I was watching the movie, I was like, that's what she needs, an EMP gun, so she can take these suckers out from far away. Maybe for the sequel. They have some very clever ideas in this movie. Very clever. I mean, you could kind of see some of them coming from a mile away, but that didn't make the payoff any less rewarding. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a sequel, by the way, because this is a great freaking movie. It was so good. Put me in such a good mood. It was like a good movie should. There's no end credit scene, by the way. I sat and waited. There wasn't. But there is a little tease at the very end. They're like, it's not over just yet. And even a Jurassic Park style dangling thread as well. I was like, oh, I love it. That's really called now the Jurassic Park move. Now, what's surprising about M3GAN is how funny it is. Oh, it's a laugh riot. My audience was laughing like we were watching a full-on comedy. And I want to be clear, we weren't laughing at the movie, we were laughing with it. It's a funny movie. M3GAN is a horror comedy. And in fact, I would say it's the best I've seen since the original Scream. And that is high praise indeed. But I really feel it's that good. I think it's really, really strong. I don't know if it has the scope of Scream. Scream was, of course, like a bigger movie. But M3GAN's really good. In fact, I would say the log line is, the pitch is Terminator meets Clueless. And that is an amazing pitch. And that's exactly what this movie is. I think I pegged it. I think I nailed it. That's what M3GAN is. Like Alicia Silverstone's Cher Horowitz, M3GAN's look is flawless. I love her outfits. They're so great. She's got a lot of attitude. She's very smart and isn't afraid to do what she thinks is right. But unlike Cher Horowitz, M3GAN's moral compass is, well, you'll see. I don't want to ruin the surprise. Or multiple surprises. Very good movie. One of you wrote me and said that you were sorry you'd seen the trailer, and because you felt it ruined a lot of the movie. I didn't feel that way. Although I didn't pay too close, I didn't do a trailer reaction for M3GAN, and so I didn't pay too close attention to the trailer. I really only remembered the dance. So don't watch the trailer again. Let it be a distant memory, and I think you'll be fine watching the film. I thought it still had plenty of surprises, although I could see where that person was coming from if they really paid close attention to the trailer. But I don't know, because I rewatched the trailer after I saw the movie. Once you see a movie, the trailer seems to often give more away because you know what it's alluding to. But I thought it was a delight. I was really pleasantly surprised by how strong the film was. These days, with studios racing to meet already announced release dates, there's a lot of mid in Hollywood. There's a lot of mid. They're like, well, you got it, didn't you? And you're like, it's not great. So it's really refreshing to see a movie where everything is done just right. You're like, wow, that's great. So let's start with the script, which is extremely clever. And while this movie is pretty much wall-to-wall white women, and I wonder if there's a commentary in there, I thought that was funny. I want you to realize that a black woman wrote it. This is Akilah Cooper, who is a rising star in Hollywood. I think she's so talented. She also wrote *Malignant*, by the way. And also a man directed this movie, Gerard Johnstone. And many of you, when I tweeted last night how good this movie was, some of you were like, Johnstone directed it. And his Housebound is a hilarious horror movie. And I went and watched that trailer too, and I was like, that does look pretty funny. So again, it's great to see Hollywood now have moved beyond having people tell their own stories and now allowing all great storytellers to tell the great stories that they just want to tell. Because this is very, very, very good. I loved *Malignant*, as you know, and maybe I'll watch *Housebound*. I'll put it on my list. I'll put it on my list. As you know, I have a lot to watch for work, so it's hard for me to go back and catch older. Maybe we'll do a watch along. Maybe we'll do a BTT Movie Club watch along for that. Always looking for stuff for us to watch. All right, so anyway, back to the script, which Cooper dreamed up with James Wan, just like Malignant. She wrote not only a very clever movie in terms of how she uses M3GAN. Cooper does a brilliant job with that. But the movie is both funny and scary. I missed a good 20% of the movie. I want to watch it again because I missed 20% of this movie hiding my eyes. I was like, get away from that dumb head. I can't look. And it was also, I thought, a fantastic commentary on multiple levels. You have commentary on parenting with technology. Just how far could it go? I'll never forget, I was at a restaurant and this table next to me, they actually pulled out an iPad and gave it to their daughter during dessert to watch, but they had her watching it like at normal level. So suddenly I was transported to their living room and their daughter just turned on the TV and I was like, and I turned around and I very politely was like, could you turn that down? And I'll never forget the way that mom looked at me. She, it was like I was in her home and I told her to turn the TV down. I was like, no, we're in a restaurant, a public space, and that's at full volume. I also had someone do that to me in a movie theater where they gave their child a phone and had them watch SpongeBob SquarePants during the movie that we were watching with the volume on and no headphones. Oh my gosh. All right, share your crazy stories down below. So there's that. There's also commentary on career-oriented single women, which I thought was funny. So if I thought it was funny, it was well done. And I also believe social media celebrity, because M3GAN is the social media dream, which has been great for the movie's advertising. But I think that M3GAN also highlights what it appears to take to make it on, let's say, some social media apps, right? And that's, let's also say, children acting like adults. And fascinatingly, while M3GAN is voiced by an adult, the physical performance is actually done by a child. I was blown away by this. Amie Donald is a professional dancer, and she has tremendous control and confidence in her physical movements. But also, because she comes from the pageant world, as you can see from her Instagram account, she's used to acting older than she is, let's put it that way, which is why even though it is a little girl in that suit, it still seems like M3GAN is a tiny adult with style. And it's a very effective performance because it's funny, charismatic and engaging, but also off-putting and creepy. It's weird. It's really strong, very, very strong. They even put M3GAN in a situation that I think seems very adult, even though it's done entirely with child actors. And I feel that might be the one part of the movie where maybe they went a bit too far, but it's hard to tell because I think the argument could be made for including it. It's a fine line. It's a very fine line. I'm not sure if the movie crossed it. The rest of the movie is so good that I think you have to decide for yourself. It is a PG-13 movie. Although I did hear from someone there is an R cut that they're going to release on streaming, like an R rating. So I'll be curious to see what they took out. Because I think the movie's just absolutely perfect as it is. And they went with the PG-13 cut because apparently it tested much better. And I'm not surprised because this is a great movie. Speaking of women, on the flip side, this movie is very positive in that it shows women building these incredibly advanced robots. Although, I don't know if STEM, who had a fabulous Macy's Day float, once again, by the way, in the Thanksgiving Day parade, but I don't know if STEM would want to use this movie as a promotional tool. Or maybe they would, because Williams' Gemma built some amazing robots and looks very cool doing it. She also had her own collection of collectibles, and anyone who's ever had collectibles, there is some very funny stuff with that as well. And I loved seeing the female collectible fan represented in this movie, and Williams did a great job. She represented us well. Williams is also embracing her Anne Hathaway-ness in that she's become a personality that is, let's also say, fun to dislike, right? And she's leaning into that, like Hathaway, because her Gemma is very much a Dr. Frankenstein type character, complete with poor personal choices. I thought this was one of her best roles. I thought Williams is also an executive producer here. And so good on Williams, like Hathaway, for, finding a way out of a little bit of a career lull and saying, you know what, I'm just going to lean into it. Because she picked I don't know if Wan reached out to her first or how this came to be, but she's just really excellently cast. So that makes this movie less black and white and therefore more interesting and more believable because it has flawed characters, just like real life. Also, Violet McGraw, who you've seen in a number of high-profile projects, has her biggest role yet here and does an excellent job. And I also thought it was a great choice to make M3GAN look very similar to McGraw's Katie, as if she's how Katie would like to see herself, which of course is what dolls often are to little girls, right? Imagining who they are now and what they could be in the future. And with both Katie and M3GAN having big heads, big eyes, and big hair, they look like two preppy living Bratz dolls, themselves very popular and at one point somewhat controversial toys. Representing guys in this movie is Ronny Chieng, brilliantly cast as Gemma's boss. The Daily Show's Chieng stole his scenes in Shang-Chi. He was so funny there, and I really enjoyed his stand-up specials on Netflix. So good, so good. But he really levels up here. He wasn't just like a comedian playing a role. He actually played the role. He was so funny. He delivers a fantastic, hilarious performance. And it's not even just a cameo. He's really in the movie. By the way, kudos to James Wan for actively working to cast not just Asian actors in his more recent films, but specifically Asian men, who unfortunately still, even today, have a difficult time getting good roles in Hollywood. So kudos to every single person who worked on this film. It's so well done, you'd think it was made in the 1990s. Like, I've been saying a lot of movies that succeed these days is because they remind us of how they used to make them. And I would put M3GAN in that category. But like these other recent movies, it benefits from today's VFX and practical effects advancements because you really believe that M3GAN is real. I saw a behind-the-scenes reel for this movie because I wanted to see how they did M3GAN because she's so well done. It's a mix of like VFX, practical effects, Donald's actual performance. But during the behind-the-scenes interviews, Chieng said he felt that there would be a lot of people dressed up as M3GAN for Halloween, this upcoming Halloween. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was right. By the way, I was pretty upset that Cooper was not included in that behind-the-scenes reel at all. I mean, that was really disappointing. I mean, come on, do better, Universal James Wan and Jason Blum. So anyway, but a very good movie, very good movie. So I had a great time. I think M3GAN is a fun watch wherever you choose to watch it. I know some of you, when I tweeted last night how good it was, you were like, sorry, still waiting for streaming. That's fine, and you're gonna get that R-rated cut. But I had a great time being in a theater full of people laughing and reacting to just how crazy and well executed this movie is. It was really fun. And when I left the theater and I walked out into the night air, being on that high you get after being in such a great movie, I felt like things were so normal and that the night was only beginning. And like, what else could I do? I got pizza and I watched my Last of Us screeners. It was a great night. I had a really good time. I haven't finished them. But we'll talk, review embargo for that's next week. But anyway, it's a great feeling to have these days. And I have to say, January is off to a pretty good start. 2023 January is a pretty good start. So that's my review of M3GAN, which hits theaters exclusively this Friday. And depending on how well it does, we'll see how long it takes to get to digital. If it doesn't do well, it'll hit digital in about 17 days. But if it does well, which I suspect it will, you're going to have to wait about a month. Or maybe even 30 to 45 days. So that's my review of M3GAN hitting theaters this Friday. Share your own thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.